there. Welcome to another episode of Layered Wisdom. I've got a question for you. Are your prints coming out of your printer all stringy or brittle or sounding like Rice Krispies when they print? Well, it may not be your printer. It might be that your filament is drinking more water than you are. Today, we're going to talk about drying filament, why it matters, what happens if you ignore it, and how to fix it without setting your kitchen on fire. Most filament is hygroscopic. That's just a fancy word that means it absorbs moisture from the air. And it doesn't take much. Even a few days in a humid room, and it can let moisture seep into the filament. And when wet filament hits your hot nozzle, the water turns into steam. And steam in molten plastic is not helpful. Wet filament can cause popping or cracking sounds during printing, stringing, like your print grease spider webs, rough pitted surfaces, weak brittle parts, and poor layer adhesion, which is a fancy way of saying your print's not sticking to the bed. There are some filaments that are more sensitive to moisture than others. Probably the worst is TPU. That one just sucks it up like it's a sponge. If you're printing high-end filaments, then nylon is bad. And even PETG, my favorite filament, can absorb water. Now, PLA is not bad. PLA is pretty good. It slowly absorbs moisture, but it can still get wet, especially if you're living in a humid area. So let's get to the practical part. What can you do to dry out your filament? Well, here I have two filament dryers. This first one is one that I got a while ago. It's from Creality, and it's called whatever it's called. I guess we'll go find out what it's called. This particular dryer can hold two spools, and it has a setting here on the front where I can go in and say, what filament do I want? It sets a temperature for me, and then I tell it how long to dry it. Well, how long should you dry your filament? Well, really, you're going to have to look that one up. Most filament manufacturers will have listed either on their website or even on the spool sometime what their recommended drying time is for filament. You can't over dry it. Okay, I have to interrupt myself here. Apparently, I was wrong. What a surprise. You can over dry your filament. It does pretty much the same thing as having it wet. It makes it brittle, poor layer adhesion, and can just break off. And this usually happens if you dry it at too high a heat. For example, you're not supposed to go above 50 degrees Celsius for PLA. And it can happen if you dry it for an excessive amount of time. So I guess my advice is going to be, go Google how long you're supposed to dry the filament for and at what temperature. After all, that's what AI is for, right? The other one that I have here is a Chitu system. And the reason I got this was for twofold. First of all, this has two boxes that I can store filament in. One of them will hold two spools, and they are removable. You can even 3D print your own box that you can dry filament in, and I'll put a link to that in the description. The other thing is that the Chitu system is a little nicer in that it has the intelligence to know how long you should dry filament for. So here, if I go and pick a particular filament type, it says, oh, okay, you should dry for this long. And it goes ahead and sets it up for you that way. Are there alternatives to using dryers like this? Yes, you can use a food dehydrator. I've seen people do that. I've seen with like a round dehydrator where people have actually taken out the trays and stuck their filament in. Just make sure that the filament will fit, the spool will fit inside. Make sure that it's temperature controlled and you're not like also drying strawberries at the same time. Some people have actually had luck with drying their filament on the bed of their printer, like my Centauri Carbon here has an enclosed bed. The problem with this one, though, is it doesn't have what is called an active heater. In other words, the only way it gets hot is if I turn on the bed plate and heat that up. And you can do that, but it's really requires a lot of monitoring and a lot of temperature control. And it's really for those of you who are in the I'm patient and careful category, which I'm not. One other thing that I wanted to throw in here is about Bamboo Lab and their AMS units. Their advanced systems have the AMS units that are enclosed and go on top of the printer or next to the printer. And their newer one, which is the AMS2, also has the ability to dry the filament. And so that's built right in. So that's also a possibility if you're looking at the more advanced Bamboo printers and you get one of their AMS units to go with it. They can also dry the filament. Okay, here's what not to do. Don't put your filament in a microwave. Unless you want a melted spool and maybe a nice burning up kitchen. Don't bake it in your oven. Most ovens are hotter than you think, and plastic melts fast if you get it up beyond a certain temperature. Don't leave it out in your dashboard of your car and call it solar drying. It's not drying. It's just reshaping your filament. And no, don't use a hair dryer. No, just no. Okay, now that you've got your filament dry, you want to keep it dry. How do you do that? Well, there's a couple of ways that you can do that. Here I have a sealed plastic bin. These are like basically cereal bins. You can pick these up from Amazon, and they work very well. The other thing that you want to get are these, which are these little silica gel packets. You can buy these in bulk off of Amazon and stick a couple of these in the box, and that helps keep your filament dry. You probably see one of these in your medicine bottle with a warning that says do not eat. My favorite that I particularly like are these vacuum bags. Again, I've picked up these from several different people on Amazon. And the thing about that is you put your spool in here, and then I've got a little pump. This particular pump happens to be one that connects to USB. It's from eSun. I'll put a link in the description. Sure enough, as soon as I got my little eSun vacuum out to demonstrate, it stopped working. So I'm back to my battery-powered one. And you just put it right on there and sucks up the air right out of the bag of the filament. And you end up with a nicely sealed bag of filament. Now, for those of you that are observant, you may notice that I've got a little something inside my filament spools. I came across this print a while back. Again, I'll link that in the description. What this is it's a little container that will fit inside the spool. And what I've got inside it are these little silica gel beads. And again, you can buy these things in bulk, and then I just pour them into this thing, fill it up about half full, and then just screw the cover on here. And then what I do is I just simply stick it into the spool and screw in the other end to hold it. And now I've got my silica gel inside the spool, which will go into the bag, and it works a lot better than those little packets. Again, this is out of one of my favorite filaments. This is out of the Elegoo Pet G transparent filament. You also, if you've got dryers like I do, these dryer boxes, the Chitu ones can be sealed up. This one that I printed for myself, it works. The problem that I've had is that it's really difficult to get the cover off and on because of the way it sits. To me, it's just been easier to put stuff in the plastic bags. The main thing you want to do is just limit your exposure to humid air. If it feels humid to you, it's humid to your filament. Here's a little tidbit for all you eager-eyed observers who saw the little round tag on there that says 24. I have actually put my own RFID tags on my spools, not for any AMS to read, but so that I can keep track of them in a database and read them and write to them with my phone. And I'll do another video about that if you're interested. Let me know in the comments. So if your prints suddenly start getting worse and you haven't changed your settings, check your filament for dryness before you blame your printer. Dry filament prints better, stronger, cleaner, sticks to the plate, more predictable. And here at Layered Wisdom, we like predictable because learning new technology is a lot more fun when it behaves.